Hi, my name is Karen Bradbury, and I'm going to be presenting my philosophy website and video assignment. The article that the assignment is based on is called Childcare is an Essential Service and a Dysfunctional Business. So some of the examples that I pulled from the article are parents are paying more for childcare than the mortgages, especially in Ontario. The lack of pay and staff shortages are causing ECEs to leave the field. Early childhood educators are referred to as glorified babysitters, and the pandemic itself had a silver lining for our ECE profession. So families are paying more for childcare each month than they are paying for their mortgage because the industry is treated like a market-based system. However, this does not work for this field. Childcare centers are limited to spacing and funding. Therefore, you can't take the time that you need to go and explore all of these childcare centers. So it's not like buying a skirt and you don't like it and then you return it, you get something else, because the lack of childcare centers and spacing, you don't have that choice. You just have to take what you have. ECEs have been screaming about the problems within the early childhood field for many years. The lack of pay, high turnover rates, staff shortages, and experienced workers who are leaving the field to pursue other careers. These aspects of the childcare sector cause interruptions to the programs, to the children, and to the centers themselves. Not only that, the disrespect that ECEs receive in pretty much every sector, every place that they work, whether it's the school board or a childcare center, the disrespect is there. Nobody seems to understand what exactly an early childhood educator is or what the importance of an early childhood educator is, and therefore we're treated as if we are just babysitters, and that is the sad reality of our field, and something has to be done because that is not what we are. So some arguments and examples from the article are: childcare do not work well under a market-based system, even though it is treated as one. Early childhood educators need better pay, wages, and working conditions. And early childhood educators are more than just glorified babysitters. So one of the arguments being made shows that childcare centers do not work well under a market-based system. Even though it's treated like one, we do not have the availability of spaces or enough centers to be able to shop around and look for quality programs that meet the needs of our own families. When looking for childcare, families never have the opportunity to do that, right? It's just not a reality. This is a political concern, as childcare should be more accessible to every family within our community. There should be an abundance of childcare spaces available for children of all ages, and all children have the right to attend an early learning program. And right now, that is not the case. Another argument being made is better pay, wages, and working conditions will probably keep early childhood educators in the field. Instead, we're losing educated early childhood educators to other fields. They're going into teaching, they're going into different career opportunities, even changing careers altogether. Most DCs have to work second jobs, and therefore to make pay, to be able to pay their rent, to be able to eat food, and that's just not okay. The concern is most definitely political, as it can be changed, but no matter how much the government says they are putting into early childhood education, it just doesn't happen. It's just never enough. They make it sound as though they're putting a lot of effort into it, but there's never any changes, and that's a terrible feeling, right? Especially for ECEs who are passionate and want to stay in the field and make a difference. So some of the paradigms that I found was post-foundationalism market-based contradicts positivism. Post-foundationalism challenges the discourse of ECE pay, and ECEs are affected by the low pay wages. Post-foundationalism challenges the view that ECEs are just glorified babysitters, and knowledge and power should not change the fact that ECEs are not just babysitters but important educators within the early childhood education field. So for this, first of all, market-based does not work, right? I've already discussed that. It just does not work. Quality is viewed from different perspectives. Therefore, you cannot have a childcare center the same as the next. So most childcare centers have different pedagogies, they have different beliefs, different values, and therefore makes it unique from each other. So as parents, we want to be able to make the choice of what works for our child and what works for our needs, but we don't have that option because there just isn't enough spaces or childcare and affordability to give us the option to look around and find the childcare center that's perfect for us. Post-foundationalism challenges the view that ECs are just babysitters. There's no right or wrong answer in this world. So there's no right or wrong in this world because post-foundationalism offers an abundance of different perspectives and interpretations. So no one has the right answer. However, when we talk about dominant discourse and how it can change the viewpoints of society, that's only going to happen if the government puts more emphasis on the importance of ECs in the workplace. For example, the Ministry of Education could do a better job of explaining the role of ECs, especially in the school system, because not even teachers have an idea of what the ECs are supposed to be doing or what they're there for. Like they just don't understand. And I mean, that's not all teachers. Of course, you have some that have a great understanding and others that just don't get it. Post-foundationalists believe they can achieve a particular perspective by acknowledging different interpretations and ideas, and this could be true, but it's how are you going to do that? It's hard to do. Early childhood, I'm going on to the next one. So some of the connections and evidence that I pulled was quality has been looked at through the viewpoints of post-foundationalism and positivism. Early childhood education has been advertising quality for many years. It is one of the most used words in early childhood education. Children are unable to make economic decisions, therefore the government should step in and show children they are important. The government should make early learning a priority, and they should provide funding to education. So early childhood education has been advertising quality for many years. It's been one of the most used words in the sector. However, quality is looked through different viewpoints. So quality to me is different to quality from somebody else, and therefore it's based on understandings of the word of different people. So when it comes to quality as the selling point to childcare, what exactly is it? What does it mean to each person, from the Ministry of the Education to the government, right? We don't know. Children are unable to make economic decisions, and therefore somebody has to speak and advocate for them. And I believe that the government should be doing this. The government should be putting enough funding into early learning and the school system to make sure that children are getting the utmost, best quality education as possible. There's no reason why we should ever be lacking anything in our education system, because everybody knows just how important early learning is, and our children, I mean, they're our future, right? So having knowledge and power is just not the only thing. The fact that ECs are not just babysitters is so important in the field. If people understood what ECs did and what their role is and their education, I don't believe that we would be looked at as just babysitters, because we're there to help our early learners, prepare them for the world that they're going to be going into, their independence, their exploration of the world around them, and giving them a safe learning environment. We are just too important as ECEs to allow people to just assume that we're just babysitters. So some of the connections and my own experiences that I found and talked about in the assignment are hard to find quality childcare, no time for to ensure the proper program for my family's needs, ECs leaving the field, referred to as a glorified babysitter, lack of respect, and of course low pay grade. So all of these connections are definitely from my own experience. I mean, myself as an ECE, when I was looking for childcare for both my children. So the 6-year-old, well, he's 6 now. I actually had to put him on a waiting list and he was on this waiting list for 6 months. And I basically took the first available spot. It took 6 months to get. I had no choice. And that was really frustrating because I actually did not get the program that I wanted. And they never did call me. So he's been on a waiting list for quite some time. My next child, I put him on the waiting list when I was still pregnant with him. So he was on a waiting list for a whole year in order to get proper childcare for him. ECs leaving the field, even myself included. I've been with the school board for 10 years now, and the lack of respect for my role and my position in the kindergarten program is still there, as if it's still day one, and it's been 10 years and people still don't get it. And even my own coworkers, I've heard, you're not a teacher, you need to understand your role, you're a teacher's assistant, we don't talk to parents, and so many just incorrect information and understanding of what an early childhood educator is, and our role within the school board. And then of course childcare centers. I've heard horror stories about that, where parents are disrespectful because they think that they know everything, and to them you are literally just there to pick up their child in the morning and provide them with a space to be why they go to work. So to a lot of parents who just don't understand, they have childcare, but it's just a place to put their child. They don't really understand the importance of where they're bringing their child. And of course, the pay. The pay is just not enough. It's not enough to live. It's not enough to pay your rent. It's not enough to buy a house and do all these things, buy a car, have a house that we should be able to do. And for that reason, I'm taking this program in order to further my career and actually become a teacher. So as much as I do not want to leave the early childhood field, it almost feels like it's not a choice at this time in my career. These are my references that I use for the article and my assignment. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.